brief, but I was at a meeting one night, and Chief O'Loughlin was there with me, and somebody said, I don't really feel that safe in this community. And let me tell you something, I put my head on my pillow every single night, and I could not feel safer than I do in this community because of all of you. All of you that are out there that wear the uniform every single day. Somebody called me one night and said, somebody got arrested. The chief showed up at the police station, talked to the arresting officer, took him out of the jail cell, and drove him home. I said, really? Picked up my cell phone. I called Tom O'Loughlin. I swear to God, he never sleeps. He's worse than I am. And he answered the phone, and I said, Chief, somebody just called me and told me this. He said, that's true. I said, really? He said, yes. He said, I walked him into his kitchen. He said, I looked him in the eyes, and I said, you have a beautiful wife and 2 beautiful children. You keep going the way you're going, you're going to lose everything. And the next time I come back, I won't be so nice. And he said to me, you know what they call that, Michael? I said, no, Chief. They call that community policing. And that's what we have in this community under the direction of Tom O'Loughlin. Under the direction of Tom O'Loughlin. I'm not afraid to say this. I stand here as the chairman of the Board of Selectmen. I'm 100% in his corner. 100%. And if I had my way, I'd make him interim chief. Because he deserves it. Somebody made reference earlier. He got 100% vote from his rank and file. Most chiefs don't even get 80%. He got 100. And you know what makes Tom O'Loughlin unique? And I want to talk about Tom because that's what today is all about. Today is about Tom O'Loughlin. What makes Tom O'Loughlin unique is he grew up in the projects of Brighton. And he never, ever forgot where he came from. And so when you see him as a police chief, police officer, whatever you want to call him, what makes Tom O'Loughlin is he never forgot where he came from. And so the best thing that ever happened to the community of Milford was hiring Tom O'Loughlin. Because, as everybody was talking about earlier, we're a community of many different cultures. And I talk about it all the time. Demographics, money, they don't make a difference. Tom O'Loughlin never forget where he came from. And real quick, he called me the other night and he said, I teach my officers all the time. It's very easy to pull somebody out of the car and throw handcuffs on them. But when they ran the red light, they ran the stop sign, they were driving aggressively, and they were angry. Did you ever take the time to talk to them? Loss of a loved one, fight with a child, divorce, can't pay your mortgage. Did you ever take the time to have compassion? Why and what happened? That's our police chief. That's our police chief. Tom?
Thank you very much, Mike and Lou. And before I ask the chief to come up here, I'd just like to relate another story about the chief. And of course, there's so much that I could talk about. In the 16 years that I was a member of the Board of Selectmen, I dealt with Tom so often on so many issues. But I'll remember the one probably that I think is most relevant and which is most vivid to me. And I can't remember when it was. It probably was around 2010 or so. But Tom came before us, and he was noting that he was starting to see some drug overdoses. And there was a lot of different kind of drug things happening beyond just the spreading. People were getting struck, and the ODs were happening. And around that time period, the city of Gloucester had a police chief who, actually I think Gloucester was even after what we talked about in Milford, but Gloucester was in the news that they were starting a program and they were going to deal with the drug epidemic by having counselors and work with treatment facilities. But before Gloucester even got into the newspaper, I remember Tom came and sat with us and said that we have an issue here, we have a problem that is growing, and even though I'm law enforcement, these people, I don't see them as criminals, they really need treatment. And I'd like to try to take the department's view and a different tact on this. I'd like to try to team up with community impact, with some counselors, and instead of prosecuting these people, I want to try to get them off to some treatment and some help. And that's how the program ran. And I remember myself and Selectman DeBartolomeus, we said, Chief, if you think that that's what the thing is that you need to do, you do it. And he brought it to us because he said, you could get some calls in the community because there are people, and I remember it as a practicing attorney. You had someone with possession of cocaine, possession of marijuana, and the district attorney, there wasn't a whole lot of thought about treatment. It was just a question of what the fine was going to be or what the jail time was going to be. But Tom was out on the forefront of changing that thinking that these folks aren't criminals. There are criminals in the drug world, there's no question about it. And the police department was still going to be enforcing the traffickers, the dealers, that kind of stuff. But the victims, the ones who were ODing, the ones who were addicted, he thought that the way to approach that was through treatment and help. And he brought it to our attention because he said, you're the leaders of the community. You could be getting some calls from people saying, what are you doing? You're letting drug people get off the hook. But that's not the case. And we stood by him, and that program grew. And I can tell you as a representative, I talked to representatives from all over the Commonwealth, and our program in Milford, with what Tom developed along with Amy Leone, it's on the forefront. It's innovative. And essentially, in addition to expanding the responsibilities and the awareness of the police officers, getting Narcan into all of our cruisers, making sure that our officers are properly trained to deal with these kinds of situations. He brought the counseling component right to the emergency room, right on the scene of the incident. So when that OD victim was back, up and aware of things, the counselor was there. And whether the need was detox, further counseling, could be housing, it could be anything. That help is there, that component is there. That was tremendously innovative at the time. It was at a time before we even knew that there was this opioid epidemic that is so-called and has been plaguing us for a number of years now. But that's the kind of vision that he had. And filtered that down to his staff and got his police officers to buy into that and know that it was increasing their responsibilities, increasing their exposure, but he did it because it was the right thing to do. So that's one story that I can tell about Tom O'Loughlin, and if you wanted to stay here till next week, I could tell you more stories. Because there's no question in my mind that he is and has been the best police chief that we've ever had in the town of Milford. Is in recognition and appreciation to Chief Thomas O'Loughlin for your many years of service and caring for the town of Milford. This is from the Milford Democratic Town Committee, but I also have a citation for you from the House of Representatives that I would like to read as well. Being hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offer its sincerest congratulations to Thomas J. O'Loughlin in recognition of your retirement as Chief of the Milford Police Department following 17 years of exemplary and compassionate service to our community. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. It's given this 31st day of March 2019. It's signed by the Speaker of the House, Robert A. DeLeo. It's offered by State Representative, good friend, and longtime and forever admirer, Brian Murray.
Want me to hold your gun?
To start, I want you to know that I didn't usurp the law when I took that lad back home. Someone in protective custody can be brought home as well as stay in a jail cell. His circumstances, I didn't think the jail cell was appropriate. So sometimes those things work out that way. Well, I started on this path 42 years ago. I was fortunate. Mike mentioned I grew up in a housing project in Brighton, and that was my first assignment as a police officer in my neighborhood. So coming right back in and having to work with your neighbors, you know, you were held to a different standard. Moved on from there, 33 years now as a police chief. Most of my career as a police chief here in Milford, and I love the town. So started out, I was fortunate that Brian, Dino, and John offered me the position to come and revitalize, reinvigorate, bring a new vision to the Milford Police Department. When I say reinvigorate, reintegrate into the community. They have grown apart. So, had to sit down and with a vision that understood respect and dignity, compassion, empathy, fairness, and kindness. We set out to provide policing services and forge a new journey, a new agency to serve the community. And that's what you see here, these officers. Couple things that illustrate how much they came on board. We answer 30,000 calls a year. And if I receive 3 citizen complaints a year, that's high. 3. None of them involve any kind of force or anything. It's usually, he wasn't respectful, he said something he shouldn't have. And I generally get that one that we swagger. I never knew that cops, when they walk up to your car, ask for your license registration, we swagger. So I've still been trying to figure that complaint out now for 42 years. And I even stand before the mirror and walk down the hallway to see if I swagger. I can't figure it out. So, aside from the citizen complaints, to show the commitment of these police officers, you know, they're represented by a police union, a police association. In almost 18 years, I've had 4 grievances. 4. 18 years. And all 4 of them were legit. We disagreed on a fundamental point that should have been brought to a third party. See if I'm correct or they're correct. And I never had a problem with that. But 4 grievances in 18 years. I think that speaks to their dedication, their commitment. I'm proud of the people that I work with. They're awesome people. By the way, it's, you don't hear me say the people that work for me, they work with me. You know, is that, I remember an adage out there that, you know, leadership isn't about being in charge. Leadership is about helping those in your charge. And I always believe that, and these police officers, many of them will attest to it, I'll help them any way that I can to ensure that they're whole as a person, so that they can go out and help others. If you're faced with difficulties and no one wants to lend you a hand, why should you go out there and help others with their difficulties? So that's always been the approach from my perspective. And I've had the pleasure of working not only with the officers that are here, the other members of the department, and many that have retired. I've actually replaced 2/3 of the department in the time that I've been there. I was proud of the officers that retired, and I'm proud of these officers. We changed the system in here in Milford from civil service to non-civil service so that we could reach out and hire young people from this community who want to serve this community. And that's what we've done for the past couple of years. Again, almost 1/3 of the department are all local young people who want to serve this agency and this community that we all love. So, as much as, I'll say, as much as, you know, you folks asked me to come here to say thank you to me, I want to thank you, the residents of Milford. I came to Milford, you opened your homes to me, you allowed me into your lives, you opened your arms and you opened your hearts, and you treated me like gold. I just hope that I treated all of you as well as I've been treated. So, thank you, Milford. Thank you to all of you. I will walk out that door with my head high. I'm proud of everything we accomplished, and when I say we, I mean these officers and every single resident of this community. We accomplished a lot, and there's more to be done. So, God bless. I am appreciative. Thank you.